Have your kids asked you if they can watch Demon Slayer? What is Demon Slayer? Is it appropriate for kids? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it the same as K-pop Demon Hunters? Let's talk about it. A couple months ago, my son came home from work and asked if he could go to a late movie. And I asked him if I could tag along, and he said yes. And when he told me that the name of the movie was Demon Slayer, I just assumed, oh, is that K-pop Demon Hunters? And he said, nope, absolutely not. It's completely different. And after going and seeing the movie, I can tell you it is completely different. So what is Demon Slayer? Demon Slayer is anime, which is essentially Japanese animation. It originally came out as a show in 2019 and has been running multiple seasons up until 2024, and then finally had a movie that was in theaters in 2025. It's the most successful anime of all time. It's broken a number of worldwide records, and it's incredibly popular with Gen Z and Gen Alpha. One of the biggest questions parents are asking is Demon Slayer for kids? Or they ask it in different ways, like, is Demon Slayer appropriate for a 10-year-old? Is Demon Slayer appropriate for an 11-year-old? Is Demon Slayer appropriate for a 12-year-old? This is not K-pop Demon Hunters. If you think about K-pop Demon Hunters like High School Musical, then Demon Slayer is going to be like Twilight mixed with a toned-down version of John Wick in animation form. There is a lot of violence. There's a lot of bloodshed. There are limbs that get cut off. There's heads that get cut off. The main character is a guy named Tanjiro, who's about 13 years old, and he comes home to find his entire family murdered in pools of blood. So it's very graphic. His sister is turned into a demon, and then he's trained as a demon slayer. So that kind of gives him motivation, and that's sort of the background of the whole story. But the demons themselves, the animation it's really not that scary. They're more like vampires than they actually are how most, I think, faith traditions talk about demons and describe demons. They gain power by eating humans and by drinking blood, which is, again, more like a vampire trait. They actually die if they're out in the sun, another vampire trait. It's not how they're designed. It's not how they're animated that is scary, but it's what they do. And it's how they do it. And the fact that it's very graphic, them eating people, the sounds, the bloodshed, the splattering, all of that is very graphic. Another part that is concerning to me with younger kids is the way that they speak to each other. They're overly emotive when they speak. They're going to hear some language, not the majors, but they're going to hear some minors in there that won't make you go, but it'll make you go, whoa. They speak to each other really angrily a lot, and younger kids tend to emulate the things that they see. And so you don't want your kids copying what they see in Demon Slayer. So in answering this question, is it for kids? Is it for a 10, 11, and 12-year-old? My answer would be no, no, and no. I would highly recommend that your kid not watch this until their age at least 13, maybe 14 and above. So are there bad things about Demon Slayer? We've talked violence, the graphic nature of it, the language. I think one of the things that's really problematic that is a little bit more subtle, though, is that there's discussions in it about using anger to empower you to fight and to do these things. And I think probably culturally, in Japan, it's probably looked at as using your righteous anger, using the things that upset you, like there's a kind of an injustice that you need to go after and using that as fuel. But that's going to be really problematic for kids, even teenagers, to kind of separate what's righteous anger versus regular anger. And if kids get onto the whole idea of using anger as fuel, it's a great way for them to become vengeful, to become bitter, to become angry, to see people as enemies. And ultimately, I think it's going to probably hurt their relationships more than anything and lead a life that's much less full. We need to be teaching stuff like forgiveness and mercy. And there are some of that, but using anger as fuel is, I think, something that's dangerous for kids. So is there anything good about Demon Slayer? And the first thing that I think of is the emotional depth that it has. Every single time that a demon is killed, you get to see their entire backstory. You get to see the choices that they made. You get to see the tough breaks. A lot of them had horrible childhoods, or they had painful things happen. And they made choices along the way that ultimately led them to choosing this life of being a demon. And you also get to see their regret and almost a repentance in the midst of it. And it lets teens, who is ever going to be watching this, not the younger kids, but 13, 14-year-olds and above, it teaches them that the life we lead is dictated by the choices we make. And they made choices that ended them up in this place. And the choices we make will lead us down a road. And we want to make sure that the road that we go down is the right one, and not a place we never wanted or never hoped we would end up. And in the midst of all of that, the main character, Tanjiro, has this sort of strong sense of smell, and it's a little bit weird. He can kind of almost smell people's emotions. And he's able to pick up on their regret. His response to that is understanding and grace, and almost a blessing on them as they move off, that there's sort of a forgiveness and a hoping that they'll be at peace in the midst of it all. And so that's a great, I think, lesson for particularly teenagers that might be faced with someone who treats them poorly or someone that they're angry at. And it teaches them that there's a backstory, that there might be things that are going on with that person that they might need to think about and understand. So there's a lot of grace and understanding in all of that. It has terrific family values. The main character, Tanjiro, like I said, his family was murdered. And that's kind of his driving force, but his sister is turned into a demon, and he is super protective of her. He honors her. He looks out for her. He loves and cares for her. And even though she's a demon, she does the same thing for him. And so they have this incredible bond. So hopefully it's one of those things, particularly with teenagers, will help your teenagers maybe get along better, maybe think of one another a little bit more, maybe be a little bit more protective. Other themes in it are sacrifice. A lot of these demon slayers, they're doing it because they're thinking about other people and not thinking about themselves. There's loyalty. There's perseverance. There's a lot of hard things that comes to the main characters and that he needs to overcome. And particularly in this generation of kids with anxiety, it teaches them that they can overcome difficult things. There's teamwork, there's determination, and then there's also a lot of hard work that goes into the training and having to get stronger to overcome. So overall, Demon Slayer is not for kids. This is something that ultimately is for 13 and 14 and up. It contains a lot of graphic violence. It contains some language. The way that they speak to one another can be difficult. There's plenty of good things that you can talk about with your kids. But ultimately, I am super glad that I went to see the movie with my son. And I'm glad that I had to go back and then watch the rest of it, because it's really given my son and I a chance to bond. It's given him an opportunity to teach me some things that he's into and step into his world for a little bit. So if there's anything that's really great about this, if your kids are really into it, then step into it with them, because it's a great way to spend time and have some conversations about life and values and things that are important and character qualities that I think will benefit them for the long run, but ultimately will lead to a better relationship.